Okay. Okay. Hello. Welcome. We're waiting for a few more people. Can you hear me? Okay, let's see. Let me view speaker view. Okay. That should be me. Gallery view. Okay. Okay. Can everyone hear me? Let's see. Why are you on speaker view? Let's see. Select your camera. Okay, that's good. Um, Microphone, desktop microphone. Okay, that should be good. Hello, hello, hello. Yes. Finish. Okay, so we're good. And let's give people, the rest of the people, a few more minutes to join us. So, welcome uh, to our Zoom meeting. Looks like you and I are the only ones that are on time today. Let's see if I can. Okay. Looks like still waiting. We'll give everybody a little bit of time to get in. When you came in, it told me you were waiting to come in and I could view you or admit you. So I admitted you. So I should be seeing something coming up for the other people. Okay. One person was testing it out yesterday. I got an email that she had joined the meeting. So I know she wants to be here. We have music now. Participants. Okay. Close that. Well, while we're waiting, I'll just tell you that the reason I wanted to do these Zoom meetings, is because um, right now people are, there's a lot of fear and stress and anxiety about, you may have noticed. And the mind will tell you that is justified. Of course, there's fear and stress and anxiety because of all that's going on in the world, the pandemic, the economy is not doing so great, the political unrest. And so to the mind, it seems perfectly justifiable that there's going to be a lot of stress and tension and anxiety and fear. But I want people to know that they are so much more than they realize, so much more vast than they realize, that your true being, your true essence is unbounded, unconditional love. And it has to do with dream reality and real reality with a capital R. In reality, there's a, you know, there is this wild, unbounded, uncontrolled energy. And it's conscious, and it expresses itself through unconditional love. And it creates by expanding itself in unconditional love. And people have different names for this conscious energy: God, the absolute, presence, being. But all of these are just words, and they're just words that, more or less point to the reality. This oneness is everything. This conscious energy is all there is, and all there is conscious energy. This door behind me, these doors behind me, are this conscious energy being the doors. I am the conscious energy being Ray. You are the conscious energy being you. Everything is this conscious energy. And it's oneness. It's just absolute oneness. There are not two. So even speaking about oneness is kind of misleading, because it sounds like I'm over here and the oneness is over there, or you're over there and the oneness is over there. But that's not the case. It's just oneness. That's all there is. And when this energy becomes contracted within the human being, that's how duality arises. That's how the oneness becomes two, or duality, or the 10,000 things. In other words, when the energy within you becomes contracted, that gives rise to the egoic mind, which sees itself as separate. And then you create a physical body so that you can be separate from everything else. You're in here inside your physical body, and everything else is out there. And if you're separate, then everybody else has to be separate. So you perceive them as being separate. And then you perceive all the objects in the universe as being separate, the 10,000 things as Lao Tzu described it. And so if you think about it, you are a separate being inside your body, separate from everything else, and everything else is separate. You live in a universe of separate objects, separated and separating. Everything from the Horsehead Nebula in deep space to your table and your chair and the glass on your table. They're all separate objects. Everything appears to be a separate object. And so it appears that you are unsafe. You are a lone entity surrounded by a universe of separate objects, and there arises automatically conflict and tension. But that is only the dream. That's how it appears within the dream. It's the dream of duality. You can't really step out of wholeness. You can't really separate from oneness, not really. Only in imagination, only in the dream is that possible. So in reality, you're perfectly safe. In reality, the pandemic can't hurt you, the economy can't hurt you, political unrest cannot hurt you. And, to say nothing of just the ordinary slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or even not outrageous fortune, the ordinary ups and downs of daily life. It's not like people needed a pandemic or an economy or a political unrest in order to feel stressed. But those events were created as by the egoic mind to kind of try to keep itself going, because people are becoming more awake and aware and realizing that we don't have to suffer like that. So we're stepping away from the egoic mind, and so the egoic mind is, in a sense, kind of fighting back. And so I wanted to, give you a taste of, give you a taste of the vastness of your being. Give you a taste of how you are loved and supported by a universe that is flowing with abundance and unconditional love. And so I want to do a meditation that will help you get in touch with that aspect of your being, your true nature, your real essence. And this is going to be a meditation that is going to be a little bit different maybe than what you're used to for meditations, in that it's going to be open-eyed. We're going to do it with our eyes open. And the reason is because a lot of times when we do a meditation, sometimes meditations are like pills. They're to alter your state so you just feel more relaxed and calm. And that's fine. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. It's perfectly good thing to do. But when we're doing a meditation that is designed to get us in touch with our true nature, a lot of times the ego will sabotage that by, causing us to drift off. We kind of become less than fully awake, right? We can get sleepy or drowsy, and then we're just kind of like luxuriating in that state of of unawareness and losing the point of the real purpose and point of the meditation. So I wanted to like just do this open-eyed meditation to kind of show us all a kind of a deeper aspect of ourselves, so we can get in touch with the truth of our inner being and see that we're so much more than we thought, more than we can imagine, more than we've even conceived of. And that means getting beyond the egoic mind, because usually if we're getting involved in things like this, it's because we're tired of suffering. Basically, we've had enough of suffering. We've had enough painful experiences. Right now, we've had enough of the pandemic and the politics and the economy. And even people are like, have fatigue from all of that. So there's, in addition to the suffering from the actual events themselves, we're like, we have COVID fatigue, we're lockdown fatigue. And that's all caused by believing in the dream of duality, believing that we are a separate being and we are separate from all other beings and we are separate from all other things in the universe. But for most of us, that's the only way we've ever lived. Our egoic mind has been chattering away our entire lives. We've never known a different way of being. We don't even know if such a way of being exists, let alone how to get to it. And so if we're going to do this meditation to just explore that deeper aspect of our being that's available to us, so we can and just directly discover that deeper aspect of yourself that's independent of body and mind, that is your real self, although it uses the body and mind, but it's prior to body and mind. And it's a place that most people don't get to, and perhaps have never like really fully investigated. So I think it's worth doing and following along and discovering this. Not only now, but do it again and again. Every time you begin to listen to your egoic mind, every time you begin to imagine that you have limitations, and every time you forget how powerful and vast you really are as oneness, as unity. So if you can, this will give you a direct recognition of what you really are, and it can change you and transform you beyond the power of just words. I can talk all night. You can read books, and you can have like an intellectual concept about all of this, but there's no substitute for actually having a direct, actual recognition that can happen inside yourself, so that you see that you're much more than you thought, much more than you ever understood about yourself. And that will fundamentally change how you look at everything, and it will begin to undercut all of your thinking about yourself, which for most people tends to be judgmental and self-critical and self-defeating. Most of us are caught in this self-defeating loop of negative thought, and this will begin to undercut all of that. So, like I said, don't close your eyes and go off into a relaxed state, because we don't want to lose track of what we're doing here. And so for the next 10 or 15 minutes, just try and stay with me. And for the purposes, well, it's fine if you're, well, for the purposes of this, you may not want to be looking at your computer, because what I want you to do is, let's get in a comfortable meditation posture, whatever, however you like to meditate. And all I want you to do is just notice the space in the room, whatever room you happen to be in. Not the objects in the room, but the space around the objects. Which is why I was saying you might want to turn away from your computer for this, because or your camera, because you're participating in a Zoom meeting, you're probably just really focused on looking at the camera or looking at the screen so you can see me. So you don't really need to see me for this. So if you want to look around your room, look at the wall on the other side, or the table and chairs, or the bed, whatever room you happen to be in, whatever objects are in the room. But instead of looking at the objects, I want you to just notice the space around the objects, or notice the space in the room. Think of the space in the room as one thing, just the space of the room, and all the objects are simply arising in that space. So it's a really simple thing. You come into your room, and automatically your attention goes to the objects in the room. Or if there's other people, you go to the people in the room, and you're like, I remember that person, I know that person. That's not where it used to be. I had it over there, and now it's over here. So instead of noticing the objects, just notice the empty space in the room. Okay, very simple thing to do. Maybe too simple, because the mind is going to say, well, this isn't going to solve my problems. But, just bear with me for a few minutes. Just shift your awareness to the empty space in the room, whatever space you happen to be in. And as you shift your awareness to that empty space, notice that you're not looking at the empty space with your eyes, because there's nothing to see, right? It's invisible. It's colorless. It's formless. You can't, you know intuitively that it's there. You're not seeing it with your eyes, and you can't hold it with your hands. You can't hold empty space with your hands. You can't smell it. It doesn't smell like anything, doesn't have any shape at all. Yet everyone is absolutely certain that there is empty space in the room. And the more you keep your attention on the empty space, the more you can feel your body relaxing and, maybe your mind slowing down. So that's why I want you to stay with me with your eyes open. And we all do this all the time. You know that you can look through empty space to see the objects behind it. But you can't see the empty space itself with your eyes. But it's something we do every day. We just look right through the empty space. How do we know it's there? If you're not using any of your senses to recognize the empty space, how do you know it's there? Are you using your mind to think about it? No. I mean, it's really just intuitively. You just intuitively know it's here. It's just obvious. And, it's so obvious that we usually don't even think about it. And we don't even acknowledge how we recognize empty space, although we do it every day. It's such a simple thing. And you're doing it without any of your five senses, which is how you normally think of yourself as receiving all the information about your world. So there's a deeper aspect of you that's functioning all the time in addition to your mind and your body constantly, so that you instantly know about this space. You didn't have to work on it like a problem when I told you, put your attention on the empty space. And, it's intangible, but yet you can be aware of it. You can pay attention to it. And it's formlessness. This empty space is formlessness. And one of the myths about awakening is that you cannot realize your formless nature without, going to a cave in the Himalayas and meditating for 35 years. And yet here you have recognized formlessness, empty space, in a matter of minutes. And how could you have perceived or recognized or intuitively known empty space if you did not have something within you that resonated with that matched that? It is the formlessness within you that recognizes the formlessness in empty space. It's the same thing with sound and silence. You can be in a quiet forest with no sound at all, not even a bird chirping. If your mind is going a million miles a minute, filled with one thought after the other, you will completely miss the silence. In order to hear, as it were, the silence, you have to have a silent mind. When your mind is quiet and silent, then you can perceive the silence of the forest. So when you're perceiving the formlessness of empty space, and you're not doing it with your ears or your eyes or your hands, but yet you're still aware of it, it's because the formlessness within you is able to recognize its own, just like the quiet mind can hear the silence. So And you've just, instantaneously like that, you just bypassed your mind, you bypassed your senses, and you recognize that which has no shape, just like that. And the longer you keep your attention on that which has no shape or form, the more you'll find it begins to relax your body, begins to relax your mind, and you come to a place quite quickly where it's really hard to think about anything. And that formless awareness is what you are. And that formless awareness is another word for this conscious energy that I was speaking about. God, the absolute presence, being. And so let's just spend a moment being aware of empty space. The empty space in whatever room or wherever you are. Now, let's make a contrast to really bring this home. Pick an object in your room. Just pick some object in your room and like put your awareness on that. Really zoom in on that one object and just really look at it and think about it. Engage your mind, your thinking mind. And recognize how different your body feels when you start to look at an object again. Now just effortlessly shift your focus back to the empty space. And so you can just effortlessly shift back and forth. It's just a simple shift of focus. And if you're looking around the room, you can see that your eyes are moving, but you can't see the empty space, but you know it's there. Your mind might think about it later. Am I really seeing? How do I know I'm seeing? And it can go into a big long conversation with itself about it. But I'm going to take you a little bit further, a little step further, if you'll indulge me. If you keep your attention on that empty space, the more you do that, the more you can begin to notice that the objects in the room become a little more dreamlike, a little less real, they take on a different quality. Not quite so real, not quite so crowded, not quite so present, not quite so threatening. It becomes less the case of you being a separate object, separated from the 10,000 things and feeling like it's you against the universe. Now you become as empty space. All of these 10,000 things are arising within you. You are all of that. You are that. And so the more we focus on the empty space, the formless awareness, the less real the objects become, the less real the 10,000 things become. And they just seem to be arising. They arise, they appear, they go. They arise, they appear, they go. And it's not something that you do, it's just a seeing. And it's a seeing that you naturally already have the ability to do. You already have the ability to perceive both ways. You're not limited to the senses of your mind and your body. So you can shift from being object oriented to just being aware of the vastness that all of this is appearing in. And the more you recognize your true nature, your formless awareness, the more you begin to feel peace and bliss and joy. And then while you're doing that and enjoying that, mind will come back and some object will get your attention and pull you out of formless awareness and shift you back into the regular way of looking at things. And you can just shift your attention back and I just effortlessly you can choose to keep your attention back into formless awareness. And so then we have a tendency to, mind will sabotage us. We have peace and joy and bliss when we establish ourselves in formless awareness, when we establish ourselves in focusing, shifting our attention to the empty space. And then when the objects come back, that's when stress and anxiety arise. So the mind thinks, well, formless awareness is better than objects. So I'm going to try to keep myself focused on empty space and not allow my attention to go to the objects. But it doesn't work like that. It's like as soon as you try to hold on to formless awareness, as soon as you try to, choose formless awareness, as soon as you come to the conclusion that, through the ego, that using your senses is bad, and, and we feel stressed and negative emotions when we look at objects from our old way of being, and that being aware of the emptiness is good and it's preferred because it helps us feel more relaxed, well then that's back into duality, because the ego is a choosing mechanism. It's like, this is good and that is bad, and you have to choose one. And then you are choosing one and pushing away the other. And you can transcend the ego right now if you just refuse to choose. Just refuse to choose which one is better. You just step back from feeling like you have to choose. Because there's a third option of just not choosing which way you proceed, not choosing form or formlessness. And naturally, when you do that, um, the formlessness, when you refuse to choose, you're not re-entering duality. And in that oneness, your natural essence, your natural condition, your natural state automatically arises. So when you refuse to choose, formlessness will just arise effortlessly inside of all those moving and changing forms that are coming and going. And you can move around within the world of form, honor the world of form. You can interact with your world. You can have conversations with people. And it's all just happening spontaneously. And the formlessness will just come to the foreground of your experience, and the forms become more dreamlike and kind of go to the background. And so it's just all kind of going inside you, like you're watching a movie. And when you do this, you have to resist the pressure of the mind, because the ego is going to be sure that you have to choose. It will be sure that you have to choose the formlessness to keep a hold of it. And you found something good, so now you've got to grab it. Don't let it go. But if you refuse to prefer even formlessness, even silence, even stillness, even peace, you don't make the opposites bad, then naturally it will be constantly present, because you aren't entering duality. And so the way you do that is you just see the two options in front of you. And when the ego tries to tell you that you need to hold on to the formlessness, if you do that, it will just seem to disappear, and suddenly you'll have lots of forms and going on. And so that's the nature of duality. And if you just step back from that choice, then you're not entering duality, and your real being rooted in oneness will just naturally come to the forefront of your experience. So when the ego says, no, you have to choose, you just sort of politely decline. And it will just be there. And, maybe you're feeling it right now, in which there's, nothing to do, nowhere to get to spiritually, no more work to do, nothing that needs to be achieved. It's not coming and going. It's not on a journey. It's not doing anything or becoming anything. It's just resting in that natural formlessness, formless awareness, where your true essence just naturally comes to the forefront. And even though it might seem to make sense to try and choose the formlessness to kind of like hold on to that beautiful perfection, because it's so peaceful and still and you can rest there, if you're still seeing the two as different and you're trying to hold on to one and push the other away, then you're going to experience one and then the other, and then one and then the other, back and forth, round and round, like a dog chasing its tail until it digs a hole in the ground. So the highest place of all is the simplest, where we don't even prefer form or formless, silence or sound, stillness or movement. We don't even prefer self or ego, even that choice. And when anything like that comes up, you just say to your ego, thank you, no thank you, because I know where this goes. If I choose, I know where that road, what it means to go down that road. So the simplest place of all is the highest, not preferring any difference. And a related thing to this is any aspect of yourself that you reject, you're going to create more of. So instead, love it and accept it. Anything that seems like a fault or a flaw, it is a part of wholeness. It's a part of you, and you love it, totally love it. And then that will bring about, that's the highest way, the quickest way of handling faults and flaws. And so if you refuse to choose, which means that the formless awareness will be your primary condition and the objects will come and go. And you'll very quickly see that all of this striving, all of our thoughts of protection and trying to control everything and trying to keep ourselves safe, it's really just formless awareness pretending to be something else or someone else, pretending to be thoughts or objects or emotions or um, the world or the universe. Even it'll reveal itself inside of you, and you will come to know that none of this is really here in the way that I think it is. And you won't have had to effort at all to come to that highest realization. You just see that sometimes it looks like something, sometimes it looks like nothing. And that's where the highest state of awareness is. It's like you don't even choose it, and it will be your constant experience. But if you reach for it and try to grab it, it'll disappear. Trying to hold on to it, it will disappear. So, and just notice how your egoic mind is always trying to make a choice. It's a choosing mechanism, and it always sees two options, and it says one is right and one is wrong, and it's constantly trying to grab this one and push that one away. And if you clearly understand what I've been saying tonight, you should recognize that you've already gone beyond your body and mind, and you use some faculty outside of body and mind to perceive empty space. The simplest of things, but perhaps never, really quite investigated fully. And if you follow the exercise to the end, you should be changed now from where you were when we began. And it's something that you can do whenever you're feeling stressed or anxious. Just notice the empty space. It's always available. It's natural and it's simple. And this formless awareness is really the end point of all spiritual journeys. However you get there, and it doesn't have to take 35 years meditating in a cave in the Himalayas, and it's not negating body and mind and the world of form and interacting with people and situations and having a real life. In fact, your body and your mind are going to function much better without your interference, without the story, without the add-on, the narrative that we tack on to our experience. And your body and your mind are going to be able to take care of themselves and do all the things that they need to do while you're resting in this empty space. Because like when I thought I was form, I was trying to get to formlessness, which meant I was trying to get rid of the form. And then you're like dividing yourself in two, tearing yourself in half and trying to get rid of a half. And then you wonder why you feel so bad. So you can practice this over and over again and just show yourself how simple it is to live in this natural place. And it's simply not true that it has to be hard and a hard, difficult process, a time-consuming process. We did it in like 20 minutes, and you can you'll be free forever. You're never again able to suffer. So are there any questions? So just remember, anytime that you're feeling like it's all getting to be a bit too much, remember you are vast and unbounded and powerful beyond your wildest imagination. And you are supported within a universe that is flowing with abundance and unconditional love. And it is supporting you and loving you unconditionally. And you are one with that. And that is the reality. And the dream is just that. It's a dream. And all of these objects arise within the empty space, which means, in other words, they arise within formless awareness, which is what you really are. And so if you stay, in touch with that, do this meditation maybe every night this week, and just keep yourself in touch with that, and you'll begin to have a realization, a direct recognition of how powerful and vast and safe and untouchable and invulnerable you really are. And not invulnerable or untouchable because you're more powerful than everything else, but unvulnerable and untouchable because attack isn't really a thing, because there is nothing else. How can you attack yourself? And you can't step outside of wholeness. You are perfect and complete and whole. You can dream that you're not, but you can't step out. You can't change the fact that you are. So if you have a question, if you want to type it in on the chat box, I know I said I wouldn't be monitoring it, but it looks like you're the only one here. I don't, so no one else made it. The vicissitudes of internet on St. Croix, I think. If you have a question, if you want to unmute your microphone, you can do that. Or if you want to type it in the chat box, I'll be happy to answer it. But if you don't have any questions, then we've been here for an hour and we could end it. So it's up to you. I'm happy to stay and answer a question that you might have. But if you have places to go and things to do and people to see, then we can end it. So I kind of need you to let me know what you want to do.